All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Knapp. I'm the founder of Mappy Hour, and I'm so excited to have everyone here tonight for the Power of Snowboarding with Hoods to Woods. This is part of a year-long partnership between the Mappy Hour and North Face, where we've been doing events pre-COVID in North Face stores across the country with really cool local speakers, and now online. So I'll also plug that our next event is with Lamont Joseph White on February 9th, and we're going to see some of his art later. So I hope everyone can join. Speaking of his art, for everyone who does enter the raffle tonight, or who does donate tonight, you are automatically entered into a raffle to get one of his canvas prints. So we're gonna pull up a photo of what that looks like later, but just so you know, we hope you'll donate anyway, but there is a nice little benefit for one person who does donate. Now, before we hop into this, I have just like a few rules for everyone. First of all, there's a chat, obviously, below this video. We encourage everyone to get in there, say hello, where you're from, if you love snowboarding or skiing on skier, and just like say hi. I'm also going to be in there moderating tonight, so I do ask that everyone just be kind to one another and yeah, just treat everyone like you would want to be treated. So those are the rules for the chat. And before we move on, we'll also be sharing at the end some really cool merchandise that we have, including this awesome hat, some bandanas, and some sweatshirts, the proceeds of which all go to Hoods to Woods. So we'll be sharing those links, but just in case you're in the market for a new beanie, we have one for you. And you know, hopefully we'll all be wearing them next time we're out on the slopes. So with that, I'm so excited to introduce Tim from the North Face, Brian and Omar from Hoods to Woods.
All right, guys. How's it going tonight?
Good. Everything's great, man. How are you?
I'm doing better tonight. Doing good. So yeah, to kind of get this evening started, I just want to introduce you both. So Brian, Brian Paupaw, why don't you give a wave to everyone so they know who Brian is? And then Omar, why don't you give everyone a wave? Omar Diaz. So these are the founders and the creators of the Hoods to Woods Foundation. And to kind of get us started, Brian, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe something interesting that you think everyone would be interested in knowing about you.
All right. Well, first of all, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, the community of Bedford-Stuyvesant. To all of you who know Brooklyn, I was born in St. Mary's Hospital, grew up in Eastern New York, Bed-Stuy, Brownsville, a few neighborhoods. I'm a visual artist as well, and I found snowboarding as a student in Parsons School of Design.
Awesome. Now, Omar, why don't you try to beat that? What's something interesting?
Got to beat that. Well, my name is Omar Diaz, and I was originally born in the Dominican Republic, the Caribbean. Found snowboarding through skateboarding, and when I'm not doing that, I am information systems auditor, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Cool. So you guys definitely have a little bit of a different background. Why don't you guys tell us how you both met?
Oh man, how we met was I did like this short film, right, titled Hoods to Woods. It was after a trip in Mount Baker, Washington. I went out there with a video camera with 3 buddies, and I stayed out there in Snoqualmie for like a whole month. It was my first time in the National State Park. So going out to Mount Baker, it was my first time being exposed to, a National State Park, but also a whole different culture of snowboarding from what I know from the East Coast, because I started in Hunter Mountain. So when I went out to Baker, I couldn't believe that there was this part of snowboarding that was just so like natural, and it was just so different from the East Coast scene. So being out there for a month, I got inspired. The idea for Hoods to Woods kind of popped in my head, but I didn't do anything about it yet. It was 2001. So when I came back to New York a few years later, I decided to take that footage from Baker and tell a story because I came across so many people in my neighborhood like, wow, you snowboard? Why? Wait a minute, you grew up in the projects. So I did a short film, a documentary, 25 minutes, did a couple screenings. So I did a screening in New York City, and a friend of mine, a mutual friend of Omar and I, John Deuce, hey Deuce, peace, man. He invited Omar to the screening. Hey, you got to meet this guy, Brian Decker from Brooklyn. He snowboards and he's doing all this cool stuff. You should meet him. So Omar came over to the screener, and at the end of the screener, Omar walked up to me and tell him what happened next.
It was like Brian had just spoken at the end of the film. He had done a Q&A, and he was talking about how he wanted to give snowboarding to the community, and how he felt that it was something that was necessary, right? Because there was only a sprinkle of us doing it, but we wanted to see it grow, to make it bigger, and just to give back, like that feeling that we both get and we have from snowboarding. We were like, man, imagine we could share this. So we're at the small theater on the steps. So it was like a small theater in Times Square, right? It was Times Square, right?
Yeah, it was near Times Square. It was actually a nonprofit that takes empty retail space and let artists come in and use it. So a friend of mine, Ebony Banks, she made that connection. Say, hey, it's a place. They have screenings. You could do a screening. It costs nothing. And of course, I didn't have any money. So I was like, okay, let me do a screening, because if I can put this film out and do the film screening, maybe I'll meet like people who are interested in the same thing, and maybe make some connection. Because at the end of the film, it was like, how can I bring this to the neighborhood? And at the Q&A, that was definitely something that I touched on.
Yeah. And that was literally the spark, because I was like, man, I've been writing all these years. I never looked at it from that angle. And his words just resonated with me. I'm like, dude, we got to do this. And we were at the step of the studio, and we both looked at each other, and we're like, no matter what happens, no matter how we do this, we're going in. We're going to make this happen. And we just started knocking on doors, calling people, doing anything and everything for anyone to just give us an opportunity. And actually, when we finally got an opportunity, the opportunity fell apart. And we had no transportation. And Brian's like, man, like, it's a wrap. Like, there's no be no Hoods to Woods. We don't got the means to get the kids to the mountain. So what after that, Brian?
Well, so what happened next? Omar had the amazing idea to carpool, right? And I said, okay, wow, but Omar, you live in Jersey. You're going to drive from New Jersey to Brooklyn, pick kids up, drive back out to Jersey to Mountain Creek, because that's where we started in Mountain Creek. Shout out to Mountain Creek. Shout out to Jake Burton, because his company gave us the opportunity to bring Hoods to Woods out to Mountain Creek using the chill room. Shout out everyone, Burton Chill. So basically, okay, we had another volunteer, Laura. Laura lived in Harlem. So everyone drove out to Brooklyn, and then we drove out to the mountain, to Mountain Creek, and then drove back to Brooklyn. And Omar went back to New Jersey. So I said, man, okay, Omar's probably going to get tired after like the second trip, right? Because he's coming back and forth, gas, his tolls. So the second weekend comes up, like, okay, let's do it again, because we're kind of just following, our heart. And we had about like five students at the time. So Omar like, yo, let's go again. So we went again, and that turned into a third trip, and I said, wow, man, I just met someone who has the same drive and passion, because that night we met and we spoke, like the energy was just like, I was just like, wow, here's another brother I can talk to about Mount Baker, and just, because in the hood, I was always alone with this. I never had a lot of people to talk to And if I did talk about it, it was kind of like far out there. People were kind of questioning me, like, "Oh, what are you doing, man? You know, you're doing like a white boy sport, blah blah blah." And I said, "No, it's not that. No, it's something that if you try it, you know, you would never look back." Because I was the person that said, "Nah, I'm from the hood. I'm not getting down with that." And I tried it, man, and I got hooked.
And that's the thing. We wanted to share that love or that feeling that we got, how we got hooked. And we're like, man, like this is just too good to keep bottled up. And now like to just give it to others and share it with others. Especially knowing from the environment, like I was in Jersey, but I grew up in Jersey City, Brooklyn. It's all urban, urban environment at the end of the day. It's all the same. We all went to the same experiences. But knowing that we knew that this had to be passed on, it had to be shared. We just wanted to make a difference because it's like just trying to get these kids from out of doing the same damn thing. No different than people telling us like, oh, that's for white people or black people don't snowboard. Like, nah, like just try it, be part of it. So we just wanted to share that feeling with anybody we came in contact with. And we figure if you do it with kids, it becomes part of them and they pass it on and move it down. So that was like catalyst, really.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that is a really good story, and it's a lot of times it's like within this outdoor industry and the snowboarding industry, it's a lot of times that's how things get started, right? These connections through mutual friends. An example is how I met you guys like 5 years ago from doing our events with Override and Jamie in that crew. And Jamie's going to kind of hop on in a little bit and kind of take you through the rest of the conversation as he's part of this community that our three groups have built. Myself working in the community in New York for the North Base, you guys with Hoods to Woods, and Jamie with Override. Just talking and totally trying to get people into the snowboarding scene and doing something different that's in the city. So I know you guys put together a really cool intro clip. So we're going to run that. And then when we come back, Jamie Kiley from OvR is going to hop on and he's going to take over for me. I'm sure everyone's tired of looking at me anyway. And Jamie's much cuter. So we'll roll it right now. And then Jamie will hop on to lead you through the rest of the conversation. Take care, guys.
They say nothing positive comes from the streets. To dream and find a way out can be a struggle. No matter what you think, we're proud to be from the hood. And from the hood, we come to nature. It's where snowboarding brings joy and happiness. It's what happens when you bring the hoods to the woods.
Hey everyone, I'm Brian Paupaw, co-founder and executive director of Hoods to Woods Foundation.
Hey everybody, my name is Omar Diaz, and I'm the program director and co-founder of the Hoods to Woods Foundation.
Hoods to Woods is a nonprofit organization that promotes awareness of the outdoors to inner city children through snowboarding.
We provide all the gear, equipment at no cost to get the kids out on the snow.
That's right. Our programs are absolutely free to the community.
Help us make our 2022 program a reality.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on, man?
Pleasure to be with you as always. Love the video. Love you guys, as you know. Most everybody in my community knows how much we love you guys because every year we work together to try to raise some money as part of the OvR kickoff party for Hoods to Woods. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to help tell your story to some people in the community who ask me why it is that we do that. But I know it's always better from the horse's mouth. So I got the horses right here. I'm looking forward to spreading the word to a larger community, thanks to the North Face and Mappy Hour. And I want to get right into it. What you just saw is beautiful. It's important that people know that there is a path somewhere you can go. You can go higher. You can reach the tops of the mountains. It's meaningful to me because, as you guys know, I say it every time we get together to talk about Hoods to Woods. I was a kid whose parents were not interested in skiing, snowboarding, and board sports. So I found that access through a conduit. And you are working as a conduit for a lot of kids in inner city Brooklyn. I know Tim already asked you guys about, what Hoods to Woods is, but I'd like to take it in a couple different directions. I want to know what it means to you as a person, each of you, Omar, Brian. Why? I mean, the obvious reason, you want to give back. We want to give, something to the kids, to the youth, and it's something that we feel strongly about. But all of us have our own individual stories. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to start there. Brian, for you, take me back to your first snowboarding experience and connect it to what you're doing with Hoods to Woods.
Well, my first snowboarding experience, as I said, came through Parsons School of Design. I had classmates who were from California, Vermont, and they would talk about snowboarding. And I had another Parsons classmate, Eric Red, and Eric was from Brooklyn, and he was messing around with snowboarding and all this stuff. And these guys would talk about this all the time, the girls too, and I'm coming straight from the hood, and I'm just like, nah, I don't know about that, but I do remember the first time I saw snowboarding. It was a Naughty by Nature video. I believe the song was called Feel Me Flow, and they had like a half pipe. And I was just looking at it like, wow, they're doing like skateboard stuff, like on the snow. That's pretty cool. But I didn't make the connection then because I didn't know anyone that did that in the hood that can kind of put me on, and I wasn't into the whole skateboarding scene hardcore in New York City, where a lot of cats, they got introduced to it that way. So just doing what I was doing in Brooklyn, running through the streets, getting in trouble, until I finally said, I need to change my life. And that's when I went to Parsons School of Design. And that's when the friends were talking about it. So I said, okay, I got to give it a shot. I'll try. Tried it, hated it the first day, Hunter Mountain, right? Next day I was sore, and I just looked in the corner, and I already made the investment. I bought the board, jacket, pants, trying to be cool so I could fit in with everyone at Parsons. And I said, no, you got to go back out there and try it again. And I kept trying it, and I will never forget where I really linked turns, and that was at Mountain Creek at nighttime with a few friends. And then I just got hooked. And once I realized that I could ride, I could link turns, I started looking at the globe differently. Like, wow, if I could go to this country, I can do this. I can go here, here, here. So all of a sudden, like, the world just became like a playground. So I just got hooked just by, not giving up and quitting. And, I just kept going, and I got lucky. The second year, I went out to Mount Baker, stayed out there for a month in Snoqualmie with a few friends, and I got exposed to that side of snowboarding. So I started on the East Coast, but when I went to Baker is sort of like the Shaolin Temple of like snowboarding, and it impacted me in such a way that I looked past the gear, I looked past the equipment, and I looked into like the soul of like snowboarding. And then it sparked that light inside me where I was like, okay, I know about the East Coast, but this right here, I gotta tell people in the hood about this. So I had feelings of anger and resentment because I said, how come I was never exposed to something like this?
And how old were you when this happened? Like your first Hunter Mountain, the first day, how old were you?
I was, let's see, maybe 26.
Yeah. So, okay, take that, right? Take 26 years old. Now, Omar, we're not going to talk about how old you are. You just had a birthday. No one's going to believe me if I even tell them how old you are. So let's go back to how old you were. And Brian's 26. How old are you when you first get on a snowboard? And tell me about that experience.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. It was 1989, 19. And I found snowboarding, obviously, through skateboard magazine. So I was part of the whole skate core, whatnot. But I was working at a restaurant. And in that restaurant, I met some of the cooks. and the cooks used to ski. And they're looking at my magazine, you know, like at my skate magazine, like, oh yeah, we've seen those. Going back to Brian, Hunter Mountain, New York, which is, you know, it's a challenging place. You know, it's the Ice Coast. I was there Tuesday, and you know, you there on the weekend is very hectic, aggressive. It's New York City, man. It's like New York City crowd going upstate New York. So you know what Hunter is. For those that are not from New York, you can paint the picture. It's like this icy, aggressive. Everybody's trying to do it.
If you could ride Hunter Mountain, you could ride anywhere. Isn't that the line?
If you can ride Hunter Mountain, yeah. Like this.
East Coast.
If you can ride Hunter Mountain, you're gonna ride anywhere in the whole world. And I went out there with skiers. So I had no idea how to snowboard. I didn't know anything.
Well, think about it. It's 1989, you said, right?
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
there was
so
even no
how many people are on snowboards in 89?
Exactly. If there was 5 of us, it was 5 too many back in 1989.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, well, not so luckily, I got onto the top, my first ever on a snowboard coming down the Bell Parkway, which is like a
only good things happen on the Bell Parkway.
Oh, heck yeah. So, you know, blue trail. And thank God that I made friends and, you know, still a great friend of mine, Randy Hoos.
Shout out to the Godfather of Hunter
Randy Hoos, man. That guy is made of gold. He took the time to show me the basics, and that was it, man. I've never looked back. I've never stopped. And I actually find myself fortunate because I've seen somewhat of a big part of the evolution of snowboarding. But when I met Brian, the thing that resonated with me was that this whole time it was about me, my boys, my crew. I made my own culture within it, but I never thought of expanding it outside of my immediate circle. And that's what he tapped on my heart. And I was like, wait a minute, I never thought of it from that angle. And after having my own son and having the patience to teach him and make him the ripper that he's turned out into, it taught me to want to pass it on.
I want to take that from what you're saying. You're 19, Brian, you're 26. A lot of the people that you're bringing out, young people from the hood, so to speak, they're younger. You're giving opportunity to youth who would otherwise not have it. I think all of us, myself included, and I started a little bit younger, but not much younger than Omar. We all wish we started even younger because we know when we see those Groms ripping through the park and, doing what they do, running laps around us, we're like, man, that's what it looks like when you start when you're, younger, 10, 11, 12, and you have all those years in front of you. That is something that you guys have crafted incredibly well in a difficult landscape. There are, reasons why some of these programs aren't inviting, and you guys crack through that. I want to ask you that specifically. What was the biggest challenge in getting your program founded, like getting the foundation and explaining, not only finding people who want to do it, but getting the actual access for them? The early days, like we all had early days, right? Like people ask me about Override. We used to take people up in our cars, give me like the early days and how you were able to get through those challenges. What were the challenges and how did you break through?
Well, the first challenge for us, was trying to get, the kids to the mountain. We were going to partner with someone to get a van to take everyone to the mountain. That fell through. So Omar decided to carpool, right? Wait, let's go back. I was like, oh, yeah, I ride at Mountain Creek all the time. I think, we could take the kids to Creek because it's close to New York and Creek is dope, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And I remember, reaching out to the management at Mountain Creek, sending emails, right? Everything's cold, didn't hear anything. Call, leave a message, right? And then like that first week went by, 2 weeks went by, and I was like, no one called me back. And something told me, I went back to a book I read called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That book got me through freshman year at Parsons because I actually thought about quitting because it was hard, you know. So he said something about persistence is key. So I said, let me take what Napoleon Hill said, persistence is key. What if I call these people at Mountain Creek every day? And I said, oh man, these people are going to get annoyed. But if I annoy them, they're going to remember me. Kept calling every day, left messages. I set a timer. Hey, buddy, it's 2 p.m. Call Mountain Creek. Hey, good afternoon. How you doing? This is Brian, Jackie, Paupaw, Hoods to Woods Foundation. We have 5 kids. We would like to take snowboarding. This went on for 2 weeks until they finally called me back.
Nice.
Like, hey, we got your message. Yeah, if you want to come out with your group and, you know, we can help you out and so on and so forth. Because I had a connection through Burton Chill, the old executive director, Lauren. So Lauren was like, yeah, you can use the gear room. You just have to get the lift ticket. So that was the connection. Okay, we can use the gear room, but we have to get lift tickets for everyone. So they finally gave us like these group tickets. We drove out there with Omar and Laura. But that was the first obstacle, like actually believing that.
Persistence is a word you use. And I actually, right now, I'm looking in the comments here, and Tracy Alfred saying she's doing the same thing right now, but with Big Snow, and they're going on February 6th.
Awesome.
You know, so
nice,
you get that persistence, right? Like, and this is a message that I think right now we're broadcasting to our community. And I think that what you guys are doing, broadcasting this message, is just as important as the message, because it's empowering, knowing that there are programs like this out there, and we can shed light on those programs just by talking about it. Taking our love of the community that we're a part of and delivering it forward. It's a big part of this. Now, when you think about those individuals, the kids themselves, you guys did an amazing thing and got some of those individual experiences into some media. And, you know, we talk about the program at large, but when you look at the individual people who are benefiting from this, young people, empowering, I think that those stories are really strong. And I want to just show you one quick one. So let's take a look right now at one of those stories.
My name is Knowledge Birds. I'm from New York and I'm a snowboarder. I love snowboarding because it makes sure that it pushes your limits to go farther than you ever done before. If you stop trying, you'll never get that sensation of how you won, how you got the thing that you wanted because you tried. And I really feel that if you try and try again, you'll get more satisfaction out of it.
Persistence. Nelly said it in his video.
Yeah.
Try and try again. Persistence. Get out there. Get after it.
Yeah.
That's it. Tell me about Nelly's. Like this is one of the things I love about you guys is these kids. Like you are hands-on. You're out there. Like one of the things I tell people when they ask about Hoods to Woods is they're really out there. Like they're really doing it. This is the realest program of its type. So Nelly's, tell me about Nelly's.
Well, Nelly's, he's from the same housing projects I grew up in, Brevoort projects, and he's one of the new faces of Hoods to Woods. So it's so awesome to see him come out, and it's like around the way, people like, oh, Nelly's, he talks a lot. I said, no, he's a great orator. He can speak clear. This is the type of kid that, you give him a shot, you give him an opportunity, he'll take that opportunity, and I'm so proud of him, man. And it's just like every time, I'm in the hood, I walk around, people like, yo, Ryan, take my kids, people pushing baby strollers in Bed-Stuy on Malcolm X Boulevard, like, yo, when my kid gets big, you're gonna take my kid to the mountain, you know? And I'm like,
It's either that or you got kids in August calling you, hey, we're gonna go to the mountain again? I'm like, yo, it's August. Yeah, but I want to make sure I get a spot on the bus. But going back to Nalise, he's a funny kid because he's one of those speed demons on the board. Like the minute I got him off of leafing and linking turns, flying. I'm like, dude, slow down. No. But he's just good with it. He's just a fun kid. He loves to ride fast. And what I like about him is that he pushes all the little groms his size to catch up. So he'll fly, like while they're learning, he'll be doing laps, passing them by, like, come on, you're the pro.
I think it's really powerful to see his message, like visually, to like see like one of the actual participants of Hoods to Woods. Like people, we talk about it a lot, right? And even with still images, like to actually translate and explain that you guys actually are helping these kids and they're real kids, right? Like these are kids, like Brian, you said, from the same housing projects that you were in, right? So there's a real connection there. Talk to me about that. How did being a part of your community shape your approach to the importance of youth programming? Like obviously you benefited from it, so you turn around and say, I want to pay it forward. But like your individual experience, how did that shape who you guys are and why you do this?
Well, I always tell people that Hoods to Woods, comes from, my heart, from my experience growing up in the hood in the housing projects, being a person of color, all the difficulties you have to deal with in the neighborhood, poverty, violence, all of those things, and I remember, being at that age, didn't have many role models, in the community. I didn't grow up in a household with my dad, lived in a single parent household in the projects. I have two sisters, mom's trying to work hard, do the best she can for us, but when I'm outside, I see, everything, so having that, experience in New York City, knowing how hard it is, especially, in the projects, if you don't have any role models, because unfortunately for me, most of my role models were like drug dealers. I survived the crack epidemic of New York City, and it was just crazy. It was just like so much violence, and there's still violence now in the community because now we have issues with gangs. Like these street organizations that originated in Los Angeles and now in New York City. And we had moments where we had, some kids who were like talking about it, and we were like, no. We have to explain to you guys, this is not the route you want to go, So, and honestly, I'm gonna keep it real because I used to feel like, yo, we're not doing enough because we only have this trip on Saturday. We try to stay in touch with everyone. We're not doing enough. And then I realized something that I said, no, wait a minute. You're giving someone a day to take them away from that situation that puts them in a different environment where I noticed that a lot of the kids put their guard down because in the hood, unfortunately, people want to keep their guard up. I know about it because I had to do it all the time, and when I lived in Brownsville, I was constantly fighting with other kids, trying to defend myself, but I never really had an opportunity until I got out of the hood. I went through a nonprofit called Fresh Air Fund, where they take inner city kids, you stay with a family or a sleepaway camp. So that was the first time I left Brooklyn, and it made me realize that I lived in a dangerous neighborhood because I never knew that, So Hoods to Woods is like that combination of Mount Baker, me growing up, not having anything, the combination of Omar pushing himself through skateboarding, and all of these things coming together, saying like, no, there's a need for this. You know, the past summer we just had a huge protest of Black Lives Matter. Everyone was like, wow, you know, wow, you guys. I said, hey, we've been out here doing our best, trying to do the work, because before everyone else catches on, like, no, this is important. You just have to do it. It doesn't matter if you're getting sponsored or getting all the support. You just have to find the individuals. So the connection for Hoods to Woods, I mean, the name, Hoods to Woods.
Yeah, you're literally doing that, and
yeah,
I think
man.
that, you know, the realness is what I go back to. There are other programs out there that do, you know, these things, and I support them all. I think that anyone that could help get you know, youth to the mountains, and it's an important thing to me. It's helped shape who I am as an adult, and so similar to you guys, I want to help pay those things back. But you guys do it in a way that's so connected directly to where you came from that it's inspiring. And I know we talk about it privately all the time, and we try to like talk about how we can do better to support and get the message out. But one of the things that people always ask, how do you find the youth, or how does the youth find you to be a part of the program?
It goes both ways, right? Because I remember, Doug, remember when we used to go to projects? We would go to the projects, like, just do what we had to do. Like, just go hustle and do what we had to do. I mean, we're lucky that Decca's mom, you know, Miss Gail's like loved in the community. So she's like that mom that everybody loves and respect. So we'll leverage her. You know, we utilize the churches as well. Like, the local churches usually have a good feel for who's struggling, who's doing well, who's in need of what, you know? So we leverage that. And then later on down the road, we even got luckier because we found a good support system of volunteers that are actually New York City educators. And as educators, they have a one-on-one with a lot of these kids, and they know which kids really need this. One of the things that we do, we work with a particular high school that has kids over 18. It's still in high school. We got kids that are living in shelters. None of this information is made, you know, nobody knows anybody's business. We do. But these are the most appreciative kids of them all. Because when you're over 18 and you're still trying to figure out how to finish high school, you know, you must have gone to some craziness prior to that to still have the desire, the willpower to want to keep going. You know, when you live in a shelter, think about it. You live in a shelter. And you get to come with us and feel like a normal kid. The love you get from those kids is unreal. You got some other kids that like will come on the low, like, Mr. Omar, I don't got lunch money. And I'll be like, don't worry, I got you. And you go and buy them lunch on the low or whatever. Or, you know, luckily now we're doing better that we could actually provide a meal. But when we weren't there yet, you know, there were kids that couldn't even afford to bring money. Like, it's real.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, talking about it helps the healing process for a lot of people. Like, you are able to have these conversations directly with these kids who maybe are uncomfortable. You're taking them outside their comfort zone. You're pushing the limits, like we heard in that video, you know, getting there, trying. There are life skills that are learned through that process, even in addition to just the love of snowboarding, right? Like, talk to me a little bit about that. Like either one. I mean, Omar, why don't you start and tell me just 3 things that you learn about life and you see these kids learning about life from the program.
I mean, one of the main things that I do when a bus arrives, I go in a bus and I introduce myself, and I always let them know, like, look, in life, you're going to set, meet, or exceed a goal. And that's what this is going to teach you. You're going to set, you're going to meet, or exceed a goal. And guess what? If you don't make it, it's always next year. So we use snowboarding as a tool of empowerment. From skateboarding at a very early age. I mean, you want to see somebody fail 500 times? Nobody fails more than a skater until they get that one trick. And then the whole crowd goes wild. So that's what we do. But we don't just do it. We talk about it. And at the end of the bus trip, I make sure I watch what every kid is doing. And Brian could tell you, I'll get on that microphone and I'll have my parting speech and I'll call out, hey, good job on this and that and that. And it gives them a sense of fulfillment that somebody is acknowledging them and that they're doing what they got to do. And to the ones that didn't, like, hey, you didn't get this, but you did that. And guess what? Next week, we're going to nail that thing.
Yeah, man. It's a real connection.
Yeah.
And it's a real connection, too, when you think about the neighborhood, right? Like positive role models, like Brian, you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have been able to become these positive role models in the community. And because you're connecting directly one-to-one, it's the relationships are important. You know, you're building these relationships that hopefully the people that you're inspiring, these young people, that they can pay that forward sometime too. Like this community, it builds from within. Talk to me a little bit about some success stories that you've seen, you know, kids who have come through the program that have gone on to do, you know, good things and big things from, you know, undoubtedly some of the relationships and the confidence that you guys have instilled in them.
Well, one, you know, I would like to say that just from the beginning, Omar and I, we said, hey, you know what? Let's create this program so if one of the kids wants to stay until the maximum age, what happens when they reach 17? What happens after that maximum age, you know? And we were like, no, let's not close the door. Let them come back, but let them become volunteers. So we kind of had that, yeah, before we even got to that point. So we had three brothers, the Chisholm brothers, two twins, younger brother. They were like the first original 5 students that came out. They stayed with the program since 2009. You know, had a lot of ups and downs, trying to get them to be ready to take on the role of responsibility versus coming out and having fun, you know, and then pushing them, you know, and Omar pushing them, where we started to see the shell crack, and then they just start taking off. And we noticed something amazing. We noticed that the students were learning quicker because they were teaching. And we were like, wait a minute, hold on. This is interesting. Like, duh, because it's a connection, because the kids can relate to them, you know? And just seeing that, and I will never forget one day I'm walking down Malcolm X Boulevard in Bed-Stuy, and I see the Chisholm brothers on the corner with a bunch of other kids, like, yelling, you don't know nothing, you don't know nothing. So I'm like, shit, here we go again. What's going on? So I walk over, hey, you know, like a coach. Hey, what's going on? What are you guys, no, listen, yo, tell them that global warming is real. And I'm like, these kids are arguing and fighting over like global warming? Tell them, because son right here, he don't believe it. And I'm just like, holy crap.
The message is out.
This is like Hoods to Woods, because all the years they've been going, they remember winters the same way a snowboarder can remember a winter. Oh, this winter we got dumped on. Oh, this winter it was like no snow and it was warm and all this type of stuff. So I'm like, holy crap, these kids are becoming, you know, mountaineers, right?
I know my winters. Yep. This kids know their winters too.
Exactly. So that's one thing. And, you know, the other thing, you know, had one student, this guy, it's my heart, man, had one student, and, you know, his mom reached out and was like, hey, you know, so-and-so is not going to school. He's like, cutting school. I'm like, really? Okay, I'm coming over. And went over there to the house, you know. This is the projects, mind you, you know. So me, I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have no fear of anything. You know, I just go into these neighborhoods to do what I do. One over there, kid walks in like he saw a ghost. Oh man, Brad, what do you? No, have a seat. You know, let's talk. Your mom tells me about you cutting school and not going to school. Oh, you know. I said, hey, remember, we told you that if you're with Hoods to Woods, you have to stay in school. You can't mess around. You can't join gangs and do silly stuff. I'm going to have to take you out of the program. And if you want to come back to the program, you got to write a 2-page letter on why not going to school is just a bad idea. And he just looked disappointed, upset, said, no, you're not going Saturday until we get the letter. And he wrote that letter about why not going to school was a bad move. Omar checked it out, and we both agreed that we should let him back in. After that, graduation, you know, not messing around, you know. So having these success stories that may be hard to like measure in terms of trying to get like grant money and things like that, but it's just reality. And a lot of stories, you know, behind the scenes. I mean, it's so many. It's like households with alcoholism in the program is an escape for the student, you know. So yeah, man, it's definitely, you know.
Yeah, man. There's so many beautiful stories that come out of what you guys have done.
Jamie,
Omar's got one.
Yeah, like before we even jump into the next topic, I just want to mention one story because it goes back to what Brian said. Like, there's no measure to the things that we do, but they translate. I don't remember the young man's name. It was a while back. When Hoods started, one of the first things that we said, well, what's going to be the aim? And we, you know, Brian and I have always done everything to this day. Everything we do, we call each other, and the board as well. But he and I have always had that respect. I think that's why a decade's gone by, and we still at it, right? Because we have the respect. And we had this one young man, you know, really rough, mad at the world, you know, like chip on his shoulder, like really difficult child. And I made him my project. And I knew I broke the ice when this kid, out of nowhere, figured out how to ride and gave me a hug. Like he caught himself out there hugging me. Yo, and it's a shame that I can't remember his name because it's been so many years, so many kids. The next week, I asked about this kid, and kid's in Rikers. He was involved with a gang. He had killed somebody. I'm like, yo, Brian, you gotta do something. And that is the day that we lowered Hoods to Woods from 13. Because like, holy crap, 13 is already too late. And like, you know, I'm not trying to get emotional, but it sucks. Because I made a connection with that kid. He hugged me, it felt real. And I lost him. And I didn't want to lose anymore. And we haven't lost anymore, thank God. But I still carry that burden. It sucks.
Yeah, man. I can't imagine.
You know, there's no way. And these are the things that we do that it's hard to explain because we just do.
Yeah, it's who you are. It's this program is a part of the collective who the two of you are, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think that it's kind of taken on its own life in the kids who've come up through the program and are all out there, you know, speaking the good word. It's a gospel of its own to have gone to literally the tops of the mountains and from where they're coming up from, you know, like these difficult situations, a lot of them. And I want
to not leave it on a sad note, and I don't want to take over the entire conversation. I'll just be real quick, and I'll give you the reverse. There's this one young man that I recall my own son, the smart brat that he is, telling him, hey, you need to pick up a book and learn how to speak. You need to, you know, enhance your vocabulary. Every other word that comes out of your mouth is profanity. And to this day, that young man, I see him as my own son. His name is Justice. He's going to community college. He's working on a business plan. I'm his. I've helped write his first resume. We talk financial. How to create your credit, create your credit, keep your credit. Like, we talk about anything and everything. And I've become more like a direct one-on-one role model. Crazy part about that kid is that had Brian not being as tough as he was from day one and kind of put him in a headlock and keep him in check, because he was also on the projects, his best friend also ended up going to jail. Remember that, Brian?
Mm-hmm.
Best friend also went to jail, but we got real tough on this kid because he was starting to veer off all the way. And we somehow, between my son, Brian, and I, like, we just brought him back.
There's some tough exposure in these neighborhoods, and you guys know it. But what you're able to offer is the opposite exposure, something really positive. That very seldom is there anything involved with the actual act of getting out of the city, breathing fresh air, going to learn something new, being physically and mentally active in a new space that isn't entirely the opposite exposure from some of what people deal with. And I always want to say, there are beautiful things that come out of the neighborhoods that we all grew up in. So it's not like to say, we love these neighborhoods. That's why we love the people in them. Sometimes I feel like when you say, we want to get these kids out, it's not because we want to get them out because what they're dealing with doesn't have merit or value. It's because there's more out there. And like Brian had said earlier, expanding your horizons help you become a more adjusted person and a better member of our community. Once you're same for me, Brian, when I first started traveling places, I've now been around the world on my snowboard. And it was because of that, initial experience and loving it and falling in love with it, that it made travel more and more appealing to me. And then you go to these places and you meet people from different cultures, and it really does change your mind and broaden your horizons from what you get when you are stuck in a situation that can feel very small, where you don't think you can get out of these situations. And that's something that you guys have done incredibly well. Again, I don't want to just sit here and stroke the program, but I do feel that way, and I feel like it's important to get the word out. I did want to say, too, before we run out of time, we do have a comments section here. If anyone has any questions for Omar and Brian, please put them in the comments. We will read the questions on our broadcast. And if not, I'll continue to ask a few more. But I also want to take a quick pause to address you, Brian. You mentioned that the kids, they recognize the winters in their lives. We're going through a very difficult winter right now. It's a very strange landscape that we're all navigating as a society with COVID. And so I wanted to make sure that we didn't leave that out of the conversation and bring up what is difficult about what we do. Getting people access to the mountains right now, when access to anything has become a difficult, road to navigate. How have you guys been, continuing to, enhance the community in any way you can, deliver your message when right now we know we can't be as active as we would like to be?
Well, good question, because right now, we have a shutdown programming because of pandemic, and we wanted to keep the community safe, and a lot of the kids were like, oh man, they were kind of like bummed out, but we just wanted to make sure we were going to be doing, the right thing, being that, the pandemic is affecting everything, which is why we put our focus on 2022 for vaccine rollout, to make sure everyone is going to be safe in the community, and that was the big question, do we go out? It was like, no, we're doing this because we actually care about the community. We're not doing it because we're trying to get points by, taking these kids out, to this environment, because people live at home with the grandparents. So we just have to be mindful about that.
Yeah. And because the program is paused right now, it doesn't mean that it isn't important to prepare for when the program reactivates. And so one of the things that we're letting people know right now is that we still, are continuing to ask for donations, raise funds so we can enhance and expand the program. And for anyone that's listening right now to what we've been talking about, and hopefully you're as inspired and moved as a lot of the people that are a part of our community, we have a couple things going on in the form of fundraising that you can do tonight. There's some gear from the North Face. They did an awesome job of collaborating and bringing in these beanies. You see the Mappy Hour bandanas and all these Hoods to Woods items. How can people get these? Like, what's the deal?
Well, they can get some of the items, at our Hoods to Woods store, so we'll probably have all the merchandise back up by early next week.
Cool. We're going to put a link into the comment section. So anyone that wants to check that out, they can go to the link. But also, in addition to the, there you go, the link's right there in the comment section. In addition to the Hoods to Woods stuff that's going to be coming online next week, talk to me a little bit about the beanies here that North Face collaborated on to get these out.
Yeah, the beanies are a collaboration with North Face and Mappy Hour. And so tomorrow we're going to choose a winner. And so everyone here, you have a great chance to win. Tomorrow we'll make the announcement and send out emails.
But they have until tonight to donate.
Yes.
So you need to donate tonight.
Everyone that donates tonight, basically, it becomes a raffle for you to win Hoods to Woods hoodie, beanie, Hoods to Woods thing t-shirt, and the cool Hood Yeti t-shirt. And also we have a Hoods to Woods face wrap that we didn't post yet.
I think I got one of those from back in the day. You're ahead of the curve on the face wrap move.
Yeah, right.
And that's another thing too we talk about with snowboarders. We've been wrapping our faces up on the mountains for a long time. So, we are trying to navigate the safety of what's going on right now in the sport, kind of in the mix of what's going on with this pandemic. So I think that a face wrap, a bandana, get some styling in you, get some of that gear. It's for a good cause. I honestly couldn't say enough about repping on the mountain. It says something, when people are out there, you got a logo on something, you got your stickers on your board. You get that Hoods to Woods gear. Like when I see someone rocking it, I'm like, yo, what's up? Like it's an immediate converation. Right here in our neck of the woods, get some style in you, get some of that gear. It's for a good cause. I honestly couldn't say enough about repping on the mountain. It says something. When people are out there, you got a logo on something, you got your stickers on your board.
I just got a little
get that Hoods to Woods gear. Like when I see someone rocking it, I'm like, yo. Anyway, a couple more questions for you guys. So the future of the program and the success of the community that you guys are serving, how do you see the next level of that success?
Well, the next level of Hoods to Woods, we would like to, expand and take more kids from the community, because right now, we max out anywhere from 40 to 45 students every winter. So now we were like, hey, we need to expand because it's always hard to shut doors when we don't have enough resources for everyone. And it got to a point where we have student applications on the waiting list. We never thought we would see that day where we would just, reach a limit. So now it's like, okay, how can we do it? How can we expand? Okay, we have to raise more funding because you have to pay for more buses, insurance. You need to staff up, part-time staff, trip leaders and things like that. So it's just a bigger workload. So we have to be able to create the resources to take more kids out. So that's kind of like the thing. And a lot of people push us to say, man, you guys are so cool, so dope. You guys got to be in every state. They're like, okay, that's a lot of work. We do not have the resources for that.
Well, that's the thing is that by donating and getting involved, people that want to be a part of this and help, us deliver this message forward, expand the program, help touch more lives. of the young people who deserve to get out there and be exposed to these kinds of things. Like a donation is a simple thing you can do, come out with a beanie or what have you. And maybe, we can continue to build the infrastructure that would allow us to get to more of these communities. You guys have been, definitely hyper-focused, and it's one of the things we love about the direct connection to the New York community. But there are other communities out there that I know would appreciate this, and we'd love to, help you bring them to where they need to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, we get the ask, West Coast, all over the place. We always have people that want to partner up, or at least the ones that want to know how to start. Like, we're very candid and open, and we share any information that we can to get them going and started. But we're not opposed to the growth, but like Brian said, it just requires a certain amount of money. You got to throw more bodies at it. There's a lot that we do behind the scenes to make sure that it happens. And there's, it's only one of me, only one of Brian, and even the functioning board as well. They all got their jobs, and everybody's pretty limited and tight as it is.
Well, let me ask you this, Omar and Brian. What advice would you have for people who are in that position, who want to do something like Hoods to Woods? They want to either start something in their own community or just donate their time. Like, what kind of advice would you give somebody in that position that wants to help, but they maybe don't know how, or wants to get involved and they need a path?
I think for someone that wants to get involved, it starts, if they want to create their own, it starts by having the conversations with people that already been doing it, and trying to create partnerships with those people that have been doing it, just to leverage some of the costs and expenses that you have out there. So the more that you get people collectively working together, it makes it easier. I mean, there's other organizations that we partner up and we do things at a smaller scale, and trying to create partnerships will make it work. That have been done.
Okay. Another question. In the post-COVID world, to get to like New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania mountains, what's the plan for you guys right now? Well, when we do get back, how do we start?
The plan for us, to get back is one, we just have to cover transportation, volunteers, because the infrastructure is there, but just moving beyond COVID it may be some issues in terms of, vaccination cards and things of that matter, but the positive thing for 2022 is now we have a facility, an indoor snowboarding facility in New Jersey, Big Snow, and it's close to New York, So we've already discussed about taking Hoods to Woods there and, expanding it, which means, okay, we normally do 4 or 5 trips, but we can have this going into like a summer program. And those same kids that think about snowboarding in the summer, are we going to go, Omar? Are we going to go, Brian? We're going to go. We can do something. So I'm so looking forward to Big Snow 2022. Seriously, because that place is going to be a game changer, and it's sort of like a dream. You think about it like, how can we we have to take a trip 2.5 hours. We have to do this. We can only do it in January. This is the open window. So I think that's going to be a big thing for us, being able to, have this winter program and then have like a summer program.
Yeah, well, you know what, Big Snow, I just want to throw out and thank Big Snow, because early in the season when we were trying to figure out how could we get that same energy that we've been doing for years with having a fundraiser for Hoods to Woods with our community, with the OvR community, and with the snow community locally, they were awesome, and they hosted us. They allowed us to take our whole thing virtual, similar to the world we're living in right now. Normally maybe we'd all be hanging out right now talking about this with a big group of people, but we're now in this virtual space. And that was an awesome thing to do. I'd love to do more of that. I think that there's some of that in the works, so that, who knows? Like, I mean, maybe we don't have to wait until next winter to reactivate. We're all waiting. We're all trying, But the fact that we have Big Snow right here in our backyards and it's going to be open, you can take some turns in July. I've been looking for that for a long time. Just like, man, I wish I could get on my board right now in August and just take a couple of runs. You could do that at Big Snow. So I'm really excited to see that you guys are working with Big Snow, and that hopefully we could do some more of those collaborations together. Any last notes you guys want to throw out to people that are listening? We've been chatting for about an hour now. I could go an hour longer. I mean, there's so many stories and things that we could talk about, and I like to, I always circle back to saying, like, please become a part of this community more, donate, help us grow. But anything you guys want to sign out with and just kind of say as a parting message to the people who are listening in the community?
Yeah. Well, from my end, I just want to say, first of all, thank you to everybody that took the time, came out to listen to us, to be part of what we do. We appreciate you for that. To all those that donated, thank you for your donation as well. Greatly appreciate it. Once we get back into the swing of things, anyone that wants to volunteer, feel free to reach out to our channels, to our website, hoodstowardsfoundation.org, and sign up to be a volunteer. Because I think that's one of the ways that we've expanded our program. People come in, they volunteer, they really get to see what it is and how it works. And it's real, because now you're part of it. You get to touch it, see it, feel it. And I think those are the people that continue to come back and continue to support us. So that, anyone that has any doubt about it or has any, just want to come and see what it is, please, by all means, we're an open door. Come on, come see what we do.
Brian, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would like to say thank you to everyone that has tuned in, and your donations are going a long way. Also, just be sure to share, winter sports with other people in your community. And you asked us a question about anyone who wants to go out there and do it. The best thing, is to find other people who share the same passion. But, at the end of the day, all you guys are invited. All you guys, you can reach out to us. If you need help, you need advice, just hit us up on Instagram, and I'll try my best to make time, because this thing needs to be multiplied by 1,000, because we really need more people out there. And huge shout out to every other nonprofit out there doing the good work. Stoked, Shred Love,
Chill,
Burton Chill, all of those individuals trying to make a difference in the community. And we really need the support of the community. So please keep the donations coming and spread the word.
Well, we just got another donation from Tracy Alford, so we're working our way there.
Wow, Tracy, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, I should take that note. I mean, we're going to have this conversation again soon, I'm sure of it. But I want to thank you guys for all you're doing in the community. It really is inspiring. When I think about the people adults who I've been on the mountain with, who have come up on like the override trips, and they're like, wow, that was like the best day of my life. And you think about having that day when you're younger, think about like having that exposure if you come from a tough neighborhood. I mean, these are things that I always think about in the reverence I have for the program. And I always try to tell everyone to get involved, donate, be active, get in touch, and just spread the word. Share stuff on social media. You guys are doing an amazing thing for the community. And I want to thank both of you, all the people who support you, Mappy Hour, the North Face. Thanks to all of us. We're going to have a lot more to do together on the mountain, in the community. So I'll just throw it over to Sarah.
All right. Thank you all. And I don't have anything to add to that. That was amazing. So I'm just going to say goodnight to everyone. And the links should all be in the comments. If you need any links that weren't in there, you can just email sarah@outdoorfest.com and we'll make sure you have the link for the fundraiser, the hats, the hoodies, and all that good stuff. And yeah, thank you all for being here and supporting. And we've raised almost $300 through the platform just from tonight's event. So keep up the good work. And Brian and Omar, you guys are amazing. So thanks for sharing your story with us. And that's it. So good night, everyone.